peace and Iceland integrity. So in this video, we'll be analyzing the certain things which are regarding the Ukraine and Russia war conflict. So regarding that, we'll be having certain points for discussion about the humanities issue, about mental issue, what are the different crises which usually happen in the past as well as which is going to happen in the present scenario too, and all the things we'll be discussing in details with you regarding the perfection of how actually Russia as well as Ukraine is watching the situation in NATO organizations too. So these all things will be discussing prior. So before that, I just want to apologize you all for not posting any such videos in YouTube channel because of lack of time and also because of some, I can even say that. So because of all the stuff everyday posting. So I hope from today, if possible, I'll be posting. Okay, so before that, I just want to you my advertisement that please like the channel, subscribe the channel for enhancing and boosting the channel, वी कैन से एनालिटिक्स. ठीक है, तो उसी के बारे में हम इस वीडियो में डिस्कस करेंगे कि इसके बारे में कि हम एंडिंग कैसे कर सकते हैं यूक्रेन वार को, हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू एंड, वी कैन से दैट हाउ वी कैन गिव ए परफेक्ट व्यू ऑफ हाउ द सिचुएशन, that how the humanity has been watching in both the side, how the peoples are been demonstrating themselves to this. So all the steps are been written here, all the compromised difficulties which usually they faced in the in the few months, we can say that in the last 5 and 6 months. So all the steps are been written here in detail with reference to the US committee, with reference to the NATO organization, as well as how actually NATO has been placing a very crucial and important role in the strategic development of Ukraine. Okay, so with reference to how the security forces are been there in Russia. Okay, so those all stuffs are been written here, which usually belongs to every one's key aspects. So what is mean by that? So it usually mean that whenever there is something happening, okay, so there will not be any common man's interference in that, rather than there is a political interference where the higher authorities usually demonstrate themselves to force the lower authorities to work on certain duties, right? So even because they are employed, right, they are employed in certain and they are going to pay something. So that's the reason why, yes, pay something, it doesn't mean that we are going to have a money in our hands and we are going to kill our neighborhood. That's what humanity crisis is. So that's the reason why here we'll be discussing in detail with you regarding how actually the organization been watching the situation in ground. Okay, so the war of Ukraine has been for 4 months, that is of, we can say, usually in the month of February. Okay, so of course Ukraine and its people have borne the maximum burnt. Okay, more than 5 million Ukraine have left the country and every 8 million are internally displaced. Okay, so million are internally displaced within the country. Rising the casualties and large scale destruction have set the country by decades. Recently estimated that rebuilding the destroyed cities and infrastructure was higher more than 750 billion. So rebuilding the destroyed city usually cost, right? Everyone usually know that. So here it has also been written about the food subsidies, COVID-19 pandemic, supply chain, political aggression, as well as the inflation rate, employment and agriculture sector too, and oil field sector too. So all the sectors has placing a very crucial role in its destruction when the which is usually been available in different countries. How actually the Ukraine Russia war has dramatically destroyed of different areas. Okay, dramatically it has the economy of different areas where it usually produces lot of resources. Also, it usually impacts the world economy too, right? Even the WTO should have to have an understanding regarding that. So that's what here it has been regarding, right? So then after the inventable conflict, so inventable conflict, just like how the Russia has started inventing Ukraine with reference to NATO, organization fulfillment. So NATO's organization fulfillment, like NATO wants to internally make merge with Ukraine, but Russia may not have such idea on that, and they usually start fetching the we can say the boundaries, or we can say fetching the different districts, or we can say fetching of Ukraine by their forces. Because of such policy, there is costing a lot. So in 2022, Russia is a guilty one, but NATO's folly was to forget. Okay, folly was to forget, and the cost of expansion goes up, and the closure of Russian border, including the terminal decline, adopting a door, or we can say that open door policy, right? So open door policy, that also important. By two, or we can say that 2005, okay, 2005, 11 former Eastern European and Baltic states have joined the NATO. Okay, in 2005, a draft security conference in 2007. Okay, so Russia, Vladimir Putin described NATO's decision of moving eastward and deploying forces closer to Russian borders. And a seriously provision. The warning was ignored by the NATO in early 2008. Okay, the United States we can say that pushed for opening membership of Ukraine and Georgia. France, Germany, sensitive to Russian concern, successfully blocked a time frame for implementation. As a compromise, it was the worst of both worlds. It convinced Russian of NATO's hostility and dragged a prospect of Georgia and Ukraine that NATO would not fulfill. Okay, later that year, Russia invaded the Georgia on the ground of protesting the Russian minorities taking over the neighborhood province of Albania and South Ossetia in 2014, following Euromedian protest in Lee against President Vitko Vučić, who was pro-Russian. Russia engaged criminal and pro-Russian separatists assisted by Russian mercenaries created autonomous region in eastern Ukraine. The fuse light in 2008 was now some molding. Okay, so those all stuffs are regarding how actually Russia has been watching the situation on ground, and what the past situation they usually had faced, what the present situation they are usually been facing with the situation they have already faced, and this situation just like destroying the 21st century's freedom. I can even personally say that. So then after, there is also a certain points which usually need to be discussed. An equivalent term surfaced. Yes, an equivalent term surfaced sensitive for each other's core protest. We can say the core interest practiced during the Cold War to prevent Russia and the Union Soviet Union. We can say the USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, conflict with the end of Cold War. This became history. The liberal school having vanquished the okay, the Marxist school of thought was now convinced of the vertiginous of its cause. If only the rest of the world would be made to see region, democracy would flourish. Free market ensured of Eastern lead rule based order prevailed. The Trump of liberal held the neo neocon believers towards interventionism. So here it is all written regarding the conflict of Cold War. Okay, so how actually the past history usually says about different presidents, different states in different countries interference, as well as how actually the view of different powerful nations come from powerful places where it has been there is a dialogue on that. So powerful persons come from powerful places where the powerful places becomes destroyable with the impowerful nations, or because the impowerful. So here what it is been written that there is a scenario where the country's moral, ethical, as well as lingual values are been disappearing because of war, right? So when there is a war, even a common man used to fight for nothing, just to make the powerful people more powerful. Just common mans are killing. So that's what here the scenario is regarding the countries interference with the war. Okay, so I hope I'm clear with all the things, all the stuffs. So at the end, it's just like how actually the things should be happening with the bilateral talk with different countries rather than interfering any other country into the matter of discussion. That's what here, that's what the view of ending the war actually ends. Okay, so I hope I am clear with the topics which I usually want to say, and also had pointified different things which are your prelims as well as mains examination, if they have been asking regarding the cold war session, who are the president in the late centuries, how actually the France, Finland, Sweden, we can say that we can say that the countries which usually been located in Russian borders. Okay, so those all stuffs are been written here. Okay, so I hope I clear with the things, and also how actually Russia has been watching, how actually Ukraine has been watching, how actually NATO's where the US interference also been watching the situation on ground. These all stuffs are here written here. So I hope I am clear with the things. So yeah, let me end the video here itself for you. Thank you.